Sub-Saharan Africa is set to grow by 3.7% in 2021 and 3.8% in 2022, a markedly slower recovery that threatens to widen the already large per capita income gap that prevails with much the rest of the world. There are two reasons for the widening divide: inadequate access to vaccines and lack of policy space. Vaccine access remains a significant roadblock to recovery, with barely 2.5% of the region's population fully vaccinated. The region also entered the crisis with little policy and financial space to cushion this large shock, and the constraint has only tightened since. Importantly, however, for a region as varied as Sub-Saharan Africa, there is quite a bit of difference in economic performance. For example, oil exporters will grow by around 2.25% in 2021, while countries with more varied economic structures by 4.1% in 2021. Differences across countries, again, partly reflect differences in vaccination and policy support. But the crisis has also highlighted key disparities in resilience. The more diversified economies not only muted the impact of the crisis, but also had the ability to adapt relatively swiftly. Looking at the region's two largest economies, Nigeria's GDP will grow by 2.6%, strengthened by non-oil sector growth and the recovery in oil prices. South Africa's GDP will grow by 5%, reflecting a better than expected outturn in the first half of the year and the level effects from the recent update to its national accounts. Turning to economic policy priorities. The most pressing issue is to ensure sufficient and timely access to vaccines to all Africans. This is not happening fast enough and risks further harming health and economic prospects of the world's most vulnerable people. To achieve the funds planned to vaccinate 40% of the world by the end of this year and 70% in the first half of 2022, advanced economies in particular need to share more of their vaccines now. And Sub-Saharan African countries will also have to step up processes to distribute this as quickly as possible. International organizations and bilateral donors need to continue providing concessional financial support to ensure that the projected divergence with the rest of the world does not become permanent. Policymakers in Sub-Saharan Africa face three key fiscal challenges: addressing the region's development spending needs, containing public debt, and mobilizing tax revenues. Most countries need to implement urgent policies that mobilize revenue, prioritize spending, and enhance credibility of fiscal policy, as well as improving business climate. The fund's recent allocation of special drawing rights has boosted the region's reserves, easing the financing constraints for some authorities. Despite the crisis, the region's vast potential remains undiminished. But with the threat of climate change and the global transition to clean energy, Sub-Saharan African countries will need to adopt a greener and more innovative growth model, supported by bold transformative reforms and continued external funding in order to achieve the long-promised African century.